Welcome to Business Progression, and today we're talking about gross profit margin. First of all, everyone's favorite part, the legal disclaimer. Well, here it goes. This video is for educational purposes. It is not financial advice, and I'm not a financial advisor. Whew, we did it. There are three main profitability margins: gross profit margin, operating profit margin, and net profit margin, sometimes referred to as simply the profit margin. Today we will be focusing solely on the gross profit margin. The gross profit margin is the percent of each dollar a company earns after all cost of good or cost of revenue expenses. Let's take a look at the equation. Gross profit margin is found by subtracting cost of goods sold, referred to as COGS or COGS, from revenue and dividing that by revenue. Then you multiply the resulting number by 100 to turn it into a percent. In other words, divide gross profit, which is revenue subtracted by COGS, by revenue, and multiply by 100. Now let's take a look at the respective elements. Revenue is the total amount of money made without factoring expenses. If somebody buys a pair of shoes from me for $50, that $50 is revenue. Now cost of goods sold, also referred to as cost of sales or cost of revenue. While these can all mean something slightly different, they all refer to the same general idea. They refer to the cost to create the goods or services. Some examples of these would be the raw materials, utilities used in production, salaries of factory workers, also known as direct labor, etc. Perhaps equally important to recognizing what is included in cost of goods sold is recognizing what is not included. Expenses like marketing, research and development, corporate activities, and shipping/delivery, as well as other expenses, are not included in COGS. That is because these activities are not directly part of the cost to create the literal product or service. Back to the equation. Gross profit margin is found by subtracting COGS from revenue and dividing that by revenue. Multiply the resulting number by 100 and you have your gross profit margin. Awesome, let's do an example. Imagine you have a cool shoe company. It gains $37,500 in revenue and has $27,000 in cost of goods sold. First, you subtract the revenue by COGS and you end up with $10,500 divided by $37,500. You then multiply this by 100 and end up with a gross profit margin of 28%. So what does a gross profit margin of 28% actually mean? It means that for every dollar of revenue, your cool shoe company is making 28 cents of gross profit. Or that before factoring in overhead expenses, your company makes 28 cents. Why does this matter? Well, let me tell you. Gross profit margin is both a measure of profitability and efficiency. It helps to show you how much money you are making before factoring in overhead costs. If you do not have a healthy margin here, you will struggle to be profitable after overhead costs. Additionally, it gives you a safety buffer for things like rising costs. Efficiency-wise, it helps with showing waste. Basically, if your margin is going down, but your revenue is staying the same, you can see that there is something increasing your costs. Maybe this is an inefficiency or rising material costs. Also, if your revenue is going up but your margin goes down, you can potentially assume that your efficiency is going down, especially since usually as volume increases, efficiency goes up. This is known as economies of scale. As always, there are definitely nuances and best practices. One, it is always best to compare gross profit margins by industry. For instance, grocery stores are known for having low margins, while software has large margins. Comparing the two would not be helpful. That leads us to the next idea: volume versus margin. Just because you have a higher margin doesn't mean at the end of the day you are more profitable. Selling tons of an item for a low price, like grocery stores do, can lead to lots of profit even if their margins are quite low. That said, operating at a low margin can definitely be a bit of a dangerous thing. Lastly, dig deeper. There might be a specific reason why a margin is lower or higher that may or may not be problematic. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great day.